Hello, everyone. We are so excited to have you with us tonight. This is definitely something a little different that we're doing for Kaya, but we are so excited to be coming live with you and just to bring this conversation with you. We thank you and invite you to join in on the chats and join in on this wonderful conversation that we have planned for tonight. Tonight, we have something very awesome. New year, new me. How many times have you heard that saying before? New year, new me. Well, we wanted to kind of put a little spin on that for you this evening here with Kaya. We want to do something a little different with New Year, New Me. We want to have a conversation about goals and how those goals can impact your life and keeping goals. So we brought on some panelists here, but we first of all just want to welcome you to come to this Kaya. We invite you to share this to all of your social media platforms. Share this with friends because this is definitely something that you want others to see. New year, new me. So we definitely invite you all to share it in on this Kaya experience with us. So come on, let's take this journey together. Let's go ahead and open this up. I want to bring in my co-lead, Miss Ashley.
Hey y'all. Oh my goodness.
Ashley.
What's up? I get so excited. Oh my goodness. This is like I wish we can do this more often because it's just such a great platform and I love being able to come together with you guys. I don't know when Deb puts like that countdown on and it's like 1 minute and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know how Dr. Scott like I don't know how he does it, but it keeps me nervous. But I'm also like super excited. New year, new me. We didn't heard it before, but what we gonna do different this year, y'all?
Hey, let's find out, right? So, within that vein, let's go ahead and start bringing in we brought a great group of panelists to have a discussion today. And so, we want to go ahead and start bringing them in and allow them to introduce themselves. First, on our panelists, we have Dr. Neema. So, we want to go ahead and bring Dr. Neema in right now. Hello. So, we have Dr. Neema. We're going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
Right. Tell us about where you from and your name, where you from, and how did you get into this field of work?
Hello, everybody. Yes, so my name is Neema Hooker. I go by Nay or Dr. Hooker. I'm from South Carolina, Florence, South Carolina, for those familiar with the state. I went to Claflin University.
Hey,
um, and I've always like wanted to be a doctor as far as I can remember growing up. My dad was a psychiatrist, and so it kind of just flowed for me. But ended up doing family practice and been doing that for the last 5 years here in Charlotte.
cool. Glad to have you,
Awesome.
Dr. Nay.
Yes, that is.
Yes. We are so glad that you are with us. We're going to go and bring in our next panelist today, Miss Shayla Holder.
Hey, everybody.
Hey!
That's my trainer. That's my trainer.
Ashley, go ahead and give them the rundown there. Tell them what they're supposed to say.
Yes, this is Shayla. This is my girl. I met her in college, and she always been so fit and so pretty. I just be like, oh my
No
goodness,
game
how can I be? I said, how can I be like her? She's so
Oh my
pretty.
gosh. Cut it out.
But Shayla is a wellness coach. I wouldn't say athletic trainer. What would you call it? What's your title? You tell me what you are.
Yeah.
I'm say wellness coach, but you tell us
Mhm.
your name, where you from, and how you got into this line of work.
Okay. I go by Shayla Nyree. That is my first and middle name. I am a wellness coach. I have certifications in personal training, fitness, nutrition, corrective exercise, and soon to be macro coaching. So continuing to progress in the wellness space. I got in the field actually because God had other other plans. Long story short, I was working in marketing corporately and I got laid off in 2017. When I got laid off, I already had a personal training certification. It was something that I was just doing on the side because I was passionate about it and I found enjoyment in it. But of course, I couldn't do it as much working corporately. So when I got laid off, I just started doing more of that. And then it just kind of took on legs of its own. 2019, I LLC'd my business and I have not looked back since. So yeah.
All
Cool.
right. Awesome. So, our next panelist that we have is Miss Ivy Ingram.
Greetings, everyone. How are you doing?
Hello, Miss Coach Ivy. Now listen, y'all out there. I need y'all to put this. Me and I've known Ivy my whole life. Ivy is such a wonderful person. We went to high school together. I will not say what year the graduations took place. We will not
Right.
go there. But I will say I've known Ivy my whole life, and she actually is my personal career coach as well. And she has been a great help to me. But Ivy, if you just want to kind of let us know what you do and then also how you got into your work.
Yes. So again, I am Coach Ivy, and I am from North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, by way of Willingboro, New Jersey. And so I'm excited to be here. How I got into this. So I am a professional certified career coach. And so I started out as a school counselor, as a high school counselor, loved it. And then I went into higher ed. And so, with the combination of the two of helping students to decide where they wanted to go after high school, after college, coupled with my professionalism. I love being a professional. And I said, you know what? I want to help other professionals to be their best self in the workplace. And so that's how I became a career coach. And I have enjoyed it. And it continues to evolve. I started out doing resumes, and then I went into coaching, personal coaching, one on one. And now I coach and train groups as well. And so I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I love to see it. All these
Awesome.
South Carolina people.
I know,
I
right?
love it.
That's right. South
All
Carolina,
South
stand up.
Carolina. Okay, okay.
All right. Well, awesome. So we are so excited for you to be here. Everyone that if you're in the chat, drop any comments, put anything that you've got. We'll definitely be getting to those a little later on. So right now, me and Ashley are going to kind of kick it off and want to kind of just have a little discussion. Yes, new year, new me, but what does that mean for the spiritual aspect? What does that mean for you, Ashley? What does that say?
So for me, it's really hard because we've been seeing it on Instagram so long. New year, new me. You see the lady in her bags walking up the steps. So for me, it's one of those things I never really paid attention to. Although I was definitely a person that wanted to have goals. I always look forward to like the beginning of the year. Like January 1st is off limits. I don't go to work. I don't do anything. I clean up, I organize my life and see what things that I want to accomplish, some things that I want to put away and or just be better at. So new year, new me. I mean, I still look at it as an opportunity to be a better person. It makes me think about as anytime you started the new school year, whenever you were younger, you started the new school year, about what kind of person you was going to be this year. I'm going to get good grades. I'm going to focus and that kind of thing. So it kind of puts me in the spirit of that. But then when I think about like that spiritual aspect, Dr. Reverend Richardson, she always does the Daniel's fast. And I think I started it with the church, not when I first joined. And it was just one of those things that I was like, okay, I need to go a little bit deeper and I'm going to need that assistance and I'm going to need that help getting through this because it's not by my strength. It's going to be through his strength that's going to get me through this so I can put some of these bad habits away. So that's how I look at it.
Well, we're gonna put an amen on it. Somebody said, "Can I put a praise on?" We're gonna put a praise on that then. It's very interesting when you come into this whole concept of new year, new me. And one of the things I really want to stress with everyone is I want to kind of put a spin on it because I also want to say new year, new me, but it's a new year, new view. It's really not, obviously, you are who you are, but the way that you see this thing called life, the way that you see even your spirituality, it's the view that you have, right? And that's really how we end up changing those type of mindsets. Even from a spiritual aspect, one of the things I love about David, I love about in the Psalms is, and I was just reading this in my study the other day, is that he tells us that the Lord is in his holy temple, the Lord sits on his throne in heaven. In other words, life happens. Life is going to happen. We all go through things. We all experience things. Here's the great thing. The year may change, your goals may even change, but God's love for you never changes, right? God still sits where God was sitting at yesterday, where God was sitting at last week. God still cares for you. The year, the date, the time may change, but the God that we serve doesn't change. So that's one of the things I really wanted to make sure we impress upon people when we deal with
Right.
it, is that no matter what takes place, no matter what's going on, the love that God has for you does not change. Somebody should be able to say, yeah, I see somebody put an amen in the chat on that. Come on,
Yes.
somebody put an amen on that. Somebody said, won't he do it? But yeah, so
It's so it don't it feel good to know that he's still the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. Even though
right.
we change, he doesn't ever change, and it just feels so good knowing that the God I knew as a child, the God that I knew growing up, the God that I know now, the God that I'm gonna know later on in my life, that he's still the same. He's still sitting there. He's still sitting there waiting for me to come to him with this preparation. I like to also think about, this new year, new me as a preparation, faith, when faith and preparation meet, what God can do. He done already said that, he got you. He's going to do whatever that you need. Come to him, ask him, he will do it. And so when prepare, get your health in order, get your career, get your finances in order, and submit that to God, he can do it all.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so important to remember, that we still play a part. A lot of times we try to take that human element out of it. Listen, I tell people all the time, you can pray all you want, but you can't leave out of church and go eat 4 pork chop sandwiches and think you ain't gonna have to go see Dr. Hooker. You're gonna have to go see her one way or the other. But you can't keep eating pork chop sandwiches and then say that the Jesus gonna regulate your blood pressure. It's not gonna happen. Just so you know, just so we are clear, that is correct. And she's shaking her head, she's agreeing. Is she the doctor? I'm not a doctor. Just so y'all know, she's agreeing. So, but what I would like to do is kind of open this segment up to each of our panelists to kind of ask them, what does New Year, New Me, New Year, New Me mean to you? So we'll start off with Shayla. Shayla, what does New Year, New Me mean to you?
I think New Year, New Me means to me not necessarily trying to redo everything or set 10 plus goals to achieve by the end of the year, but more so reflecting on the prior year and seeing where there are areas where you can improve, areas where you may need to create some new systems so you can be successful, because that is, just like Ashley was talking about, that is a part of that preparation piece. I think a lot of the times we're well intentioned and we have good intentions, but if preparation is lacking and you don't have the proper systems in place, then you can't fulfill your desires of your heart, and you can't really walk in your purpose successfully. So New Year, New Me to me is taking that time at the beginning of the year to focus, to reflect, to see what can I do differently so I can show up the way that I need to show up and do what I feel called and led to do.
Right. I like
Awesome,
it.
awesome,
And
awesome.
no,
Yeah,
Josh,
yeah.
you can't have bacon. You can have bacon
Turkey
sometimes,
bacon,
guys.
uncured turkey bacon. Try that.
There you go. There you go. See? Shayla giving us options.
There you go. So you got your options. Coach Ivy, what does New Year, New Me mean to you?
New year, new me. It's an opportunity for things to be new, all things new, and that's in the word, right? And so for me, it's an opportunity to evolve again, right? So while God's love does not change, I think it's an opportunity for us to change the way we see things, to change our perspective, right? To have a new vision, a new perspective, a new outlook on life. As Shayla mentioned, it's an opportunity to reflect on the previous year and to go back and look at some things that you can tweak and make it new again, right? It's an opportunity to refresh and rekindle, if you will. And so for me, it's definitely an opportunity for me to level up. I always level up every year. I level up in every aspect of my life, whether it's personal, spiritual, my businesses, career. It's an opportunity for me to do a new thing so that I can continue to grow, because one thing is inevitable, and that's change. So again, it's a new opportunity, new vision, newness, freshness, new year, new you. That's my perspective.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now I'm gonna just go ahead and tell you the level up. I'm gonna use it now. Here's the thing about a Baptist, just so you know, we give you credit the first three times we use it. On the fourth time it's ours. So I don't know if you knew that about Baptist folk, but that's kind of how that works. So I'm gonna level up. I love that. I love that level up. Thank you. That is awesome, Dr. Hooker. What does New Year, New Me mean to you?
Yeah, would put me on after Coach Ivy if she gonna speak so eloquently and have me follow up behind her. Okay. Um, so I mean, I think my idea of what New Year, New Me has changed and evolved over the years. Like I've always been that person who does like on the vision board and plan everything out and you know write down what I want to accomplish and all these wonderful things. Even have like vision board parties with friends and all that jazz. So I still like that aspect of it, but also um, trying to be holding space for what is in the present. So like that's a day of just being, just witnessing, just being grateful and honoring everything that you have done. Like I read something today and probably you've all seen it before. It's just like whatever you did 3 to 5 years ago has prepared you for where you are today. So I'm not a big fan of New Year, New Me. I feel like every day I'm a new person. Um,
Yep,
so that's just kind of how I reflect on it. Is just really being intentional about honoring where I am in the moment.
makes sense to
Awesome.
me.
Yeah, you and me both every day. And I think you're right. Every day we have a new opportunity, to not necessarily reinvent ourselves, but at the same time, we have a new opportunity to take a reflection, to take that moment, just to be able to sit back and just reflect on life and reflect on kind of where we're at. So I love all the answers. Look at this, all this inspiration. I'm gonna get off of here and go run 10 miles. I'm joking. I'm not, just so you know, I'm not doing that. Just so everybody's clear, that's not going to happen. But so we did kind of want to transition over, so that way we can kind of have some conversations and kind of discuss in a little more detail. One of the things that we did want to kind of talk about, was dealing with some finances, right? So
Yes.
um,
And Jeff is the finance guy. We didn't get to introduce him on this panel, but Jeff is a financial coach. So he's going to be talking to us in that capacity tonight. So, Jeff, you ready for your questions?
yeah, go ahead, shoot 'em. We're
All
gonna
right.
see.
So, for the financial piece and people trying to get their finances at the beginning of the year, which we all should be doing, especially young adults. Some of us out here, starting work for the first time, and we getting these checks with these commas in it, with these zeros that we ain't never seen before, working a part-time job. So it's different. So, Jeff, what do you think? Why is taking a look at your finances, at the beginning of the year very important?
Well, for one, it helps you set the tone for the year, right? As far as budgeting is concerned, I'm very big on budgeting. And so being able to kind of sit down to see where you're at, because obviously in the beginning of the year, especially if you file taxes, if you get anything back, that's a great time to be able to utilize those funds to be able to pay down some debt, pay off some debt. The goal is always to be financially free. At least that's one of the things that I kind of stress in my financial coaching, is to be financially free. Now, that may not always lead to wealth, but it leads to freedom. And here's what I often tell folks: that one of the problems that you often have is that you are stuck at a job, not because you want to be there, but because you have no choice, right? But when you're financially free, you're free to make decisions about your career, about your life, and about the choices that you make. But you can't be that if you're stuck in debt, right? Because you have no choice. So one of the main things that I think that looking at the beginning of the year allows you to do is really taking a look at your budget, taking a look at where you're at. And then I always recommend looking at, there's several free apps that you can take. I personally, the one that I use is Every Dollar app. That one does cost, but the reason I love that one is because it allows me to link all my bank accounts to that. And every time I swipe, so you don't have to keep all your receipts. You know how they tell you keep all your receipts after you pay for gas?
Mhm.
I don't have to keep all my receipts. Everything goes straight to that app, and I'm able to budget it that way because everything has a position. And the goal is to remain at zero when I'm done, to have a $0 budget. So
Right. So so I know for me, just speaking for myself, and there might be some other people out here that when I like in our community, our parents, our grandparents, they wasn't really talking about money like that. And so money is one of those situations where, it's kind of private, it's kind of taboo to talk about. I remember just kind of being really afraid to do a budget and be like, oh, I know I'm overspending over here, or, I probably could be saving more, but I really want to do this. And I know that's what budgeting is for. So you can make sure that you're hitting all those things. But what do you say to the person that's like, never really done this before and is kind of nervous and, afraid to jump into it? What would you say about that?
Yeah, what I would say is kind of you really probably need to seek out someone. If you're kind of nervous, don't really know where to start, seek out someone. They have several different options. There's one called GreenPath. GreenPath is a great resource that you can use. Typically, most banks, I know if you're a part of a credit union, they usually use GreenPath, and it's usually free for you. And they kind of help you get on budget, to set up a budget, things of that nature. So they kind of take some of that pressure off. But then there's also several other ways that you can contact people to kind of help you set those up. And even I know at St. Paul, we even have a class that we do for financial freedom. There's a class that we offer. And so you're able to go in and have those discussions with other people who are dealing with the same issues that you are. And so a lot of times it makes it a lot easier to have those discussions when you know you're around people who are doing the exact same thing or trying to reach the same goals that you're trying to reach.
Right. What do you think about like young adults in like their 401ks, or if they're, a lot of us right now, we've seen a lot of people, and Coach Ivy, she's going to be able to speak on it about, people exiting from their jobs and, maybe not having that 401k, but, what are some different types of things that they could, do to make sure that they have some good retirement?
So yeah, so you definitely want to kind of speak to a financial advisor. Typically, you can set up those meetings for free. Especially right now, everybody's doing it virtual. I actually set mine up about 2 years ago, right before I got into the financial coaching. Me and my wife sat down. It was virtual. It was free. The consultation was free, and then so it just really helped it out, especially when people are exiting their jobs, when they don't have that 401k, because we have seen an uptick in as far as self-employment individuals. So being able to set those things up is, and you won't, I mean, the tax burdens aren't as heavy. There's a lot of things that the government has currently done to really help self-employed individuals at this time. So.
Okay, cool. Well, before we move on to the next thing, is there any other thing that you feel like young adults need to know about finances walking into 2022? Anything
Yeah,
else?
but just one of the main things is what does it cost, right? Everything, and I always tell my nieces and my nephew this: everything has a cost associated with it. Are you really willing to pay that cost? For instance, if we're talking about buying a pair of shoes that's $100, even if let's just break it down very simple. You make $20 an hour. Shoes are $100. That costs you 5 hours to buy that pair of shoes.
Oh,
Is it really worth the cost? So you have to decide if what I'm about to spend this money on is worth me spending 5 hours. If I'm at a job for 8 hours, I've taken more than half of that time to pay for this pair of shoes I'm about to get. Is it really worth it? So when
I
you
never
break it
thought
down
about it that
that
way.
way, yeah, when you break it down that way, it's really it's really kind of helps you to decide, is this important, right? So there's podcasts. One of the great podcasts that I listen to is called Popcorn Finance. If you haven't downloaded it, download that. It's called Popcorn Finance. You can listen to it on your way to work. It gives you information in the same time it takes to pop a bag of popcorn,
That's good. I'm be up in the
and
store
it's
telling
by
me,
a
is
brother.
this worth
So.
2 hours? I'm be at the store looking at clothes. Is this worth 2 hours? No. Okay. Putting
Put the
things
bags
back.
down, right?
3 hours for this. Yes. So people in the comments, my mom always says money doesn't buy you happiness, but does give you options. True.
Amen to that. Yes,
Yes.
that is very true. Yes. So, um, And then don't forget all of our resources. You can find all of our resources, and we'll kind of mention this again later. In at On St. Paul Baptist Church. You can find all of these resources that we currently have, and that we'll be discussing tonight. So we're going to kind of move on from finances. If you have any questions or need any resources, please put them in the chat, and we'll kind of still be filtering those out. So, you ready to go? We good? Everybody good? All right. So, Coach Ivy. I'm gonna start off with Coach Ivy here tonight. Coach Ivy. I don't know. I feel like Dr. Nay is looking at us because last time she said we. So Coach Ivy. So we had, and this kind of goes back to one of the things we just talked about. We've seen
Mhm.
an uptick in people requesting. Have you seen an uptick? Excuse me, with people requesting to go through consultation with you right now? We know with the pandemic,
Mhm.
a lot of people have changed careers. A lot of people have changed jobs. People have wanted to do things. They've had the opportunity to do things that they never thought they were going to be able to do. Have you seen an uptick? And I know you probably have because I
Yeah.
reached out to you during the
Right.
pandemic and I
Yes.
changed career paths. So
Yes.
have you seen this uptick going on since COVID?
Yes, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, my clientele doubled last year compared to the year before that, doubled. And so, indeed, I have seen a variety of reasonings in the midst of the pandemic as well. Certainly, some individuals just felt like I just got to get out, right? And there's not enough staff, and they're putting all the work on me. So we've seen a lot of that as well. In addition to people wanting to transition from the 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship, seeing that quite a bit. And so it most certainly has been an interesting time to include just having to really go through a series of coaching with these individuals to talk some things through, right? To make sure that indeed it's the job and not you. And so we have to have some of those tough conversations as well to go inward. And I always like to go inward and let's delve a little deeper to really get to the root of what's going on. But certainly, I've seen an increase in the midst of the pandemic to include conversations of depression and anxiety as well, where I've had to refer them out to some of my counselor friends in my network. And so it has been very, very interesting. And so of course I always want to see more clientele, but not at the onset of stress, not at the onset of desire to really escape. It's like the boats are
Mm,
on fire, and they're
mm,
they're you know and they're looking for an out. And so what I will say is, while that's not exciting for me to address, it has been rewarding to help them to truly transition either to the entrepreneurial space or to a new job or even a career industry change altogether. So it has definitely been interesting, but I will say that it's starting to slow down a little bit now that we're here in February 2022. So I think people are starting to settle and find their way.
Well, no, that's definitely awesome. I think it's so great that people have someone to lean on because so often we don't know who to turn to, right?
Absolutely.
Who to turn to. I mean, yeah, I want to change careers, but where do I go? Okay, I
Right.
want to start this new entrepreneurship. Where do I go? And then also, is it me or is it the job? And that's when, as you say, you got to have those. We call that in my workplace, not the nice conversation, but the right conversation,
That's
right? And
right.
sometimes you got to have the right conversation with
Absolutely.
people to kind of fill those out. So if you could kind of lay out, and if anybody has any questions about where you are, things that you may be thinking, certainly put them in the chat. We want to give some opportunity for Coach Ivy to be able to answer any questions that you may have. If you have any questions about changing careers or anything such as that, let us know, and we'll get to those. So kind of explain to us your process of how you go into those conversations. And sometimes, like you said, they're not always the nicest, but there's the one that you need to have. And how do you kind of help guide and navigate those waters?
Well, I usually start with a personality assessment. So I think that helps to kind of put the mirror in front of each individual so that they can truly see themselves. And then I will do a career assessment oftentimes as well. That's not always necessary, but That's something that I like to throw out there if necessary, especially for those that want to go into a different industry, so that they can see based upon their skills and what they like to do, what they don't like to do, what other career fields are an option for them. And then we go through, we put the resume on the back burner, we start having conversation. And so at
Awesome.
minimum, they've got to have at least 3 good conversations with me, and what I call them coaching sessions. And at best, 6, right? So anywhere from 3 to 6 coaching sessions before we start looking at LinkedIn profile, resumes, and things of that nature. Again, to truly sort out feelings, to sort out opinions and perspectives and assumptions as well. And so we really delve in and get to the heart matter. And again, the roots
Mhm.
of the issue as to why you
Awesome.
want to change, right?
Yeah.
And so those are, some of the steps that I apply as I confront an issue as in terms of clients just wanting to make that transition. Again, it's like, I can't do this anymore. I gotta go. And they want immediate results too. And so we have to talk through that as well. This is a process. And my
Right.
job,
Right.
my goal at the end of the day is not for you to, obtain a new job or a new career. It is so that you can sustain once you're there, because we don't want to be here again. And so again, the heart beat of my process is truly those tough conversations.
That is awesome. Like I said, that is awesome, and I think it's definitely much needed. For some of those who may be out, watching right now, dealing and just kind of having those conversations with themselves. What is anything, a word of encouragement I'll let you give, or some advice that you can give them now that may be struggling and not sure if they want to stay? What advice would you give this person?
For a person that's not sure, and that's usually where I meet individuals, right? They're either stuck or uncertain. And so the conversation begins with, and you and I had the same conversation. What did you want to be when you were 7, when you were 9, when you were in second grade? And are you sitting in that place right now? Are you serving in that role right now? Get back to your initial purpose and ultimately your assignment and your true calling before you decide to transition. And then I have them to really go through a series of journaling. Let's write it out, think it out, reflect, and let's again make sure that it's not you. And indeed, it is the job. And what I often find is that people don't tend to leave the job, they leave people. People quit
Awesome. Right.
people,
Yeah.
right? And so we have to really, again, get to the nuts and bolts of what is really going on so that they don't find themselves in the same position. And so we talk about climates and we talk about cultures as well. We talk about what is a no tolerance for you and how to actually negotiate and how to shop themselves, how to interview the interviewer. And so,
Hmm.
again, just really being able to go back to really what you are supposed to be doing and where you're supposed to be, because I have discovered that oftentimes when you're not really sure, anything of uncertainty or confusion is not ideal at all. And so then you will find that it is indeed in time for a change when you find that you are stuck or unsure. So let's get to a yes. Yes, this excites me. Yes, I got yes, I have found the career for me. Let's get there. Let's find that excitement and let's ditch the uncertainty. So again, just getting back to who you initially were called to be when you were just a mere 7 years old.
Hey, awesome. That's and I think we forget about that part, right? We
You
forget
do.
about that,
You
but when
do.
you get that excitement in, we forget about that. And I know, it's a lot of stress. And
Yeah.
as we bring in Dr. Nay on this to kind of talk about the stress,
Yeah.
it's really a lot of stress that has taken place as far as the pandemic is concerned,
Absolutely.
and just life in general. And so you're stressed out about your career, you're stressed out about everything else that's taking place, stressed out because I'm quarantining. I'm stressed out. I just, so what do I do? And
Yes.
so as we deal with those and try to navigate those waters, it's just awesome to be able to have someone like yourself to be able to help people to navigate
Right.
those waters. Dr. Nate, what would you say that you've seen recently? I guess since COVID, have you seen an uptick as far as stress is concerned during these COVID times?
Absolutely. For sure. I mean, I think there's been a when you when you're in a pandemic that's being managed the way it is with isolation, um, definitely in the beginning in 2020, that takes a toll on everybody. So especially, I think a lot of light was shown on the elderly population,
Mm,
um, especially those in nursing homes or in isolated areas where they really weren't interacting with anyone else at all. Um, so the isolation is a big part of stress, anxiety, depression, all the different mood disorders. So yes, that went up significantly during the pandemic.
And so, how have you been able to help? I guess in what you do, how do you help people to deal with this?
Yeah, so I mean, it's just having a conversation. I don't think it's any different than what I was doing before the pandemic. It just maybe more frequently, and that's having a listening ear to pay attention to what people are saying that they may not really be saying. 'Cause I think a lot of
Right.
times we try to hide those parts of us that are disturbed, like mood disturbances, like feeling down, feeling anxious, not sleeping. Like those aren't things that we really want to share with anyone, and even your provider. So just having a listening ear, active listening to try to pull out things that seem a little concerning to me, and to try to reflect that back to them to say, hey, this is what I'm hearing. Um, and these are some steps that I think that you could take to try to manage them and try to meet them where they are. Uh, and then allow them to kind of help formulate a plan or next step, because a lot of times people aren't ready to jump right into therapy or jump right into whatever
Right.
maybe what I think is the next step, but just trying to get them to think about what would be good for them to do next.
I love it when you say meet them where they are. I think that's really where we kind of get down to where we are really able to help. I mean, meeting people where they are. Like you said, they may not be even where you want them to be, but it's helping them take those next steps. And I think that's just so awesome. As for our audience and for those who are listening, what are some of the things that we should avoid during this time that may create stressors that, in your opinion, or something that you see that maybe we should kind of avoid?
Um, I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna say avoid isolation, and I think that that just looks differently now. Like you can have virtual contact with people, and of course things have changed where things are more opened up and you can be around other folks a little bit more safely since we had the vaccine and that good stuff. But some people still are afraid to leave their home. Some people are still afraid to interact with other people, and I think I try best to guide them to try to avoid that. Even if it's virtual contact, even if it's a phone call to touch base with your loved ones, text messages, having a therapy appointment, something, some kind of human contact is important. Some other things that I think have increased during these times is people spending more time on their phone. I don't know if that's fact, but I
Mm,
think that's probably true.
it's
Scrolling
probably
social
facts. I don't think.
media, yes, scrolling media, binge watching more shows, especially when we working from home and we can just turn the TV on anytime we want. So a lot more screen time. And I really try to get people to lessen that. I know it's difficult, but turning your phone off before you go to bed. Don't have notifications waking you up in the middle of the night. Don't sleep with your television on. If you do fall asleep with it on, put it on sleep mode so it turns off and doesn't wake you up in the middle of the night. Try to have a good sleep schedule. So you're going to bed and waking up around the same times every night and in the morning. Um, and then another thing don't to do, try not to indulge too much in alcohol. Um, during these times as well, especially if you're isolated. So those are a few things that I kind of just counsel people on.
Awesome. No, I know my wife's watching and she's probably like, I hope you listen, Jeffrey, about cutting this TV off when you go to bed because I'm notorious for that. So, but you're right. I mean, I think, with everything that's going on and a lot of people working from home, working that virtual space right now, that screen time, we're always in front. And I know most people I know are like, I'm so zoomed out. And they say this as they're looking at their phone, like, I can't stand Zoom anymore. But it's like, well, you're still on the screen though, right? You're still looking at your phone. So, um, when it comes to the medical health, as far as young adults are concerned, what are the things that we should start paying attention to at this stage of our life?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of just more of the same. I'm really big on, like, I'm a primary care physician, I'm a family physician, I'm really big on overall health, but I think overall health starts with mental health. Like, you can't
Mhm.
move forward with your physical health if you're not ready mentally. So really, going back to what we said, New Year, New You, however, you approach yourself, know your challenges, know what gets you going, know what your barriers are to improvement, and write those things down and write down a plan, of how to overcome those things. Um, so I think it kind of starts with mental health, and then also seeking out therapy. I think a lot of us um, are avoiding of that. I think it's becoming more acceptable, or more people are open to it during these times, but some people are still like, I don't know about that. But just being open to that and exploring that, because I think a lot of us don't realize that some things that we've been through are actually traumatic and are holding
Mhm.
us back. We have pushed it down or forgotten about it or didn't give it as much relevance as it needed. Um, and so emotional health, emotional stress, emotional trauma, mental trauma, all of those things that may have happened to us in the past can present itself as physical issues.
Mm,
So that's
that's
something
good.
to be mindful of. Is you have to get your mind right. You have to be in a good mental space to take care of yourself physically. Um, I think we have another guest on here. We'll talk about exercise. So I don't want to be just jump ahead and do all of that. But of course, not all of us grew up in a household where fitness was made a priority. So having to train yourself to put fitness first, to try to do something every day is a challenge. But the only way you can do something is to actually do it. So I even tell people, like, again, meet people where they are. If you have never exercised in your life, let's plan a 5-minute walk. Like, you can take 5 minutes during your lunch and just walk, at whatever speed you need to do. And, gradually increase your endurance and improving from there. And I think another thing too is avoiding processed foods. That's a that's easier said than done, but trying to cook most of your meals at home. If you cook your meals not out of the freezer packs and put it in the microwave, but actually putting ingredients together with vegetables, that's a much better alternative than fast foods, even eating out in the restaurants, or frozen foods. All those things have a lot of processed elements in it, a lot of sodium in it, and they're just not good for us. So I could go on and on and on about the things to do for your health, but I really stress being in a mental space where you feel you're ready to make those steps. Because if you're not ready mentally, a lot of people just get out there and just start doing stuff. And then 2 weeks
Right.
later, you're right back where you were before because you didn't prepare yourself.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I said, I really want us to kind of focus on the vision, new year, new view, excuse me, change the view of things, because a lot of times you're right. We have this in our mind, and this is why new year, new me, it is kind of a cliche, because at the beginning of the year we're all pumped up, everybody joins the gym, and then next thing you know, it's been coming out your bank account for 6 months and you haven't been one time, right? And then you look and you're like, oh my God, I've been spending, $10 a month at Planet Fitness and I haven't gone, and then I just canceled the membership, and then they put that on the TV again, that it's $1 to sign up, and then but you sign up because you get revved up. And I think you're right. It's really just about, you have to be able to change that view and just kind of start. So I love that, once again, that meeting people where they are, and as we do bring Shayla in, I think you're right. I mean, that exercise piece is so important. It's so important to kind of really be able to just start. I love just starting with that 5-minute walk, um, because it's just something to start. Like, you got to start somewhere, and then
Yep.
you can continue
Yep.
to increase that, but it's all about starting, right? It's all about
You
starting
have to start
somewhere.
somewhere. You have to
Um,
start somewhere.
yeah,
And a lot
Yeah.
of times
So
I'll even write stuff down for a patient. It's like walk 5 minutes, because once you write it down, you put it somewhere where you can see it, you're more inclined to do it. So just writing down your health goals in the ways that you want to accomplish them is helpful as well.
yeah, that's another great thing. Writing that down, I think everybody on here, write it down, make it plain, so, that's really what it's all about. So, where's my co-lead? Where's Ashley at? I want to get Ashley in here so she can kind of, I think you're on mute. You on mute, Ashley? There you go. But
I've been
yeah, I
taking,
mean,
my bad. I've been taking notes.
Absolutely. I think Mary Lee Stevenson said exercise helps her clear. Absolutely, it does. It helps clear the mind for sure.
Yeah. I I had a question for Dr. Hooker. Just I guess again, think about young adult, and as I'm getting in my 30s and not becoming a young adult anymore, and just a regular adult. I just think about, like, diabetes, hypertension. Have you been seeing like more young adults with some of those issues? Because again, we got this pandemic. I think we've all gained a little weight here and there and not picked up any good, healthy habits. But like, is that something that you've been seeing? And like, what do we need to do? Because because that metabolism kind of slows down very quickly, and it's just like, oh, I can't eat a burger every day and french fries and pizza. I have to now like literally switch it. So have you been seeing a lot of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all seen like obesity rates are on the rise for adults and children. I think we're approaching like 50% for adults and almost 25% of children in America. And with obesity comes what's called metabolic disorder, which is an array of different diseases like hypertension or high blood pressure, diabetes or prediabetes, high cholesterol. All those things kind of run in circles once you become overweight or obese, and that's defined as a BMI of greater than 30.
No.
Um, so yeah, definitely have seen an increase in those ailments among younger folks.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
That's what I was thinking. So just to move along into like, okay, we've got the health side, but now let's talk about this exercise. How much
Also, I'm sorry, I'll
exercise?
say one more thing
Oh
before.
yeah, talk to me.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think there's a lot of stigma around weight loss too, or weight in
Mhm.
general, and just making sure that you're honoring your body, like while you're undergoing these health changes, and again, meeting yourself where you are, but not being afraid to mention what you want to do for your health to your doctor. If your doctor doesn't bring it up, say, "Hey, I know this is my weight, this is my goal. What can I do to get there?" Because like I said, meeting yourself where you are. Diet and exercise, yes, absolutely is going to work. But in the meantime, what are some things you can do, medication wise or surgery wise or whatever else, to get you to a point where you feel comfortable implementing your diet and exercise well? So, just
Yeah.
something else I wanted to add in there. Just don't be afraid to talk to your doctor about what you want for your health goals to be. And if they don't bring it up, then you need to bring it up. If they don't want to talk about it, then you need a new provider.
that's great. No,
There you
that's
go.
really
There
good.
you have
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Nay. I wanted to jump into fitness while we have some time. And I'm pretty sure, Shayla, this is like your probably most busiest time of the year because everyone is like, New Year to me, I'm going to lose this weight. And everybody's making these plans to exercise. I'm going to exercise 5 days a week and I'm going to lose 20 pounds, 30 pounds by the summertime because I'm going to be summertime fine.
Right.
And but we all know come March 1st, it's gonna go away. So what do you do? How have you stayed motivated for yourself? And how do you keep your clients motivated? And this is for me. I need to know.
so, so listen, I always tell people just because I am in the wellness space, that does not make me immune to the same struggles that any other person goes through. So, like I said earlier, having systems in place that can help you overcome perceived and realistic obstacles, that's what help you win. That is what is going to help you win, because Willpower, I know a lot of clients get on themselves about, oh, I don't have willpower, I don't have discipline. It's overrated, to be honest.
Yeah.
Also, it comes in ebbs and flows. So you have to have things in place that can help you show up even when the motivation is lacking, because the motivation won't always be there. For me, for example, I have a trainer for myself. I know for a fact, regardless of how busy my schedule gets, I have 3 times a week that I will be training. And then, of course, I'm still physically active outside of that. But I know at minimum, I'm going to train 3 times a week. And with my clients, to help them stay motivated, I like to help them focus on what is your why? So what is the deeper meaning behind why you're doing what you're doing? Do you want to be able, I know some of my clients, they want to be able to run around with their kids and not feel winded. Do you want to make sure that you're setting a positive example for people in your family? Because it typically has a ripple effect. Once the people in your family see, first they're going to judge you now. Let's be clear. You don't got nothing on your plate. You need to get some food on that plate. So first they're going to judge you. But once they start to see that the healthy changes that you're making has a positive impact on your life, that will have a ripple effect. And it's done so with me and my family, which is kind of how I became passionate about it. People started seeing the positive effect that it had on my life, and then they wanted to take part in it as well. And, you know, things that we go through is not just for us, it's to be a blessing to other people. But one, helping my clients understand and stay focused on their why. And then also letting them know that it's okay to love yourself at every stage. It's all about perspective. So understanding that, yeah, you may have tried last year to get on your exercise spiel and it didn't work. You may have tried 2 months ago and it failed, but that doesn't mean that you can't start today and it works. So it's all about progress over perfection. And I think a lot of times if you come into it with unrealistic expectations, like, oh, I need to lose 20 pounds in 1 month, that's not realistic. Let's start where you are. Let's start small and then gradually build from there. So coming into it with a realistic perspective and setting realistic goals and talking with someone, a professional, and understanding what realistic goals are. And then 2, understanding your why and why you're doing it can help you stay motivated.
Right. Okay. Well, that makes sense. I love it. Oh Lord, stuff falling. My bad, guys. But I like that idea of, you know, having systems in place, and having the good support system, you know, and your reason why, because, you know, I think that sticks longer than saying, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds. I'm trying to be summertime fine. Absolutely. But saying, hey, you know what, my mom had diabetes or has diabetes, you know, that's something that I kind of want to stay away from. What do I need to do? I know for me, I'm pregnant now, and I saw my blood pressure go up, and I was like, my blood pressure ain't never been this high. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I need to get my heart rate up, you know, some more to make sure that that my blood pressure isn't as high. So I was like, I need to make sure that I'm definitely physically active during this pregnancy, because I don't want no, you know, terrible complications. Pray for me, guys. Next question. So what do you, like, people always, this is always the magic question, like, how many times, how much do I need to work out? Like, how many days, how many minutes?
Yes, the recommendation, the general consensus is 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity or 75 minutes of vigorous activity. This could be spread out over like 4 to 5 days, 3 days. Honestly, it depends on one lifestyle, and it depends on your fitness level and where you are. So when you're starting and thinking like balls to the wall, I'm gonna work out 5 days a week, and then you get on the 3rd day and you're extremely sore because you haven't incorporated rest days. So that's what I mean about going into it with a realistic perspective. Maybe instead of doing 5 days when you're just starting out, let's do 3 days, and let's have days in between. So maybe you'll do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday instead of trying to work out Monday through Friday, when you have to give your body time to adjust. And then once you adjust, then you can start adding on additional days. But it can look as simple as 30 minutes, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, or you can do an hour. It just depends on what your preference is. But definitely, I always recommend clients to move a minimum of 4 times a week.
Okay, good. And earlier you were talking about, you were getting into like this macro. What was that? It was like what is that? What?
So macronutrient coaching is more it's a granular, so it's kind of like the next step after just like calorie tracking. So our
Okay.
our plates are made up of macros are basically your protein, fat, and carbs. And if you have specific goals, there's a science behind what your body needs based on your goals. So if you want to lose weight, if you want to maintain, if you want, there's some people that want to gain weight. There's certain targets that you need to hit for your protein, your carbs, and then your fat. And then
Right.
you would track those things through weighing your food and then just understanding kind of what your plate should look like over time. And it's not something that you have to do for a very long time, but people find it beneficial once they get to a place in their fitness journey where they kind of want to take it to the next level, so to speak.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. And just thinking about that, so we've got to exercise. We've definitely got to take a look at what we're eating. Um, but I don't know. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest, looking at those macros and all this other stuff, that seems like it's time weighing my food, Shayla. That seems
Listen, it's not for everybody. It's everybody. Like typically intuitive eating works better for most people. But what I will say, if weight loss is one of your goals, there's no way that you can just lose weight without tracking in some form. So it doesn't have to be as granular as tracking macros, but you do need to understand how much calories you're eating, and you do need to understand how to construct your plate in a healthy way. Absolutely.
Okay. Oh, good. Last question, and we'll open the floor up if anybody has any other questions for any of our panelists. Tips and tricks that we can do for people who that could make a big impact for somebody that has a busy life, got toddlers at home with a husband or a wife, and and it's hard for them to get to the gym. What is something that people can do that you've seen could be a big impact if they would just do some of this or do some of that you could see a change?
So I would say for one, start small. So this theme has been prevalent tonight, but start where you are. So increase your NEAT activity, which is non-exercise activity. So instead of trying to circle the parking lot 4 times so you can fill space, let's park at the back. Let's walk a little bit further. Instead of taking the elevator, take the stairs. On your lunch break, go for a walk. So there's different ways and lots of people are sedentary right now because they're working from home. Get up and make sure you stand throughout the day, walk around, do a quick little 10-minute heart pump to get your heart rate elevated during your lunch break, or whenever you have like a quick 15-minute break in between meetings. It's important to just move as much as you can throughout the day because those little tidbits add up. Something else you can do is make sure you have an accountability partner. A lot of times, what I've seen, people will quit on themselves before they'll quit on somebody that is basically counting on them to show up. So if you have a friend or you have a family member that is on a health and wellness journey just like you, and they're trying to improve their health and their fitness, team up. And that way you guys can keep each other encouraged and you can challenge each other to show up for yourselves. And then lastly, I would say build a mini gym at home. If you're a little anxious about going into a gym space, or maybe like you said, you're too busy and you don't have time, get equipment. You can get equipment from TJ Maxx, Home Goods. You can get equipment from Target, Amazon. I mean, we all live on Amazon. I think everybody got Amazon Prime.
I think something off Amazon 5 times a day.
Right. I think everybody has. You either got Amazon Prime or you're using somebody's account. So I think everybody has Amazon Prime at this point. So you can build a mini gym at home. You can consult a trainer and do virtual training. That is an option. Ashley, you got your session in the other morning virtually. Yes. So there are ways around busyness. It's just about, even if just use the time you have. If you only have 20 to 30 minutes, then use that 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay, cool. We have one question. It says, how many calories should be the target when you're trying to lose weight?
So that is going to be very specific. It depends on your height, your weight, your age. So based off a general calculation, I would have to know those factors to kind of tell you what your target calories would be.
So is it ever one of those, because I think some people think that, I have to eat less calories and, I have to burn more calories than calories that I take in. Is that that's false?
So you do have to have a calorie deficit to lose weight, but the common misconception is the less you eat, that will trigger weight loss, and that is not necessarily the case. A lot of times, what I've seen with my clients is they have been eating too little for too long, and metabolic adjustments happen when that takes place, and you kind of have to get your body back to a place where you're eating enough, because the body requires a certain amount of calories just to breathe. If you're sitting Netflixing and eating your snacks, the body requires a certain amount of calories just to do that. And sometimes because your day is busy, you haven't planned, you're just grabbing things as you go, you're not eating enough just for bodily functions. So a lot of times I have to work clients back into a maintenance phase of where they're eating enough calories, and then we could worry about cutting calories to trigger some weight loss.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Awesome. Listen, tonight's discussion has been phenomenal. It has been amazing. I certainly want to thank each of our panelists for the energy that you brought tonight, for the education that you brought tonight. I think we've done some great work here tonight. So I want to give all of you an applause in this space. And it's just an awesome thing to be able to have this much on the screen with us, this much knowledge, this much information, especially during this time that we currently live in our virtual spaces. We know we don't see each other that often, but there's definitely things that we still need to be able to do to encourage one another. And this is what tonight was for. So thank you all. As we wrap up tonight, we just want to thank everyone for watching out here. And stay tuned. We have CAYA coming up next month. And the topic is, we're going to discuss the topic of this always question, or this saying, I'm spiritual, not religious. So we will be dealing with that topic next month on CAYA. As we wrap up, we will look forward to seeing you all next month. All right, everyone, have a great night and stay tuned, because we also have coming up for St. Paul. We have March Gladness coming up next month. And then we also have TNT that will be coming on Tuesday and Tuesday noon and Tuesday night teaching. So thank you all. Thank you to our panelists. You all have a great rest of your week.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys so
Thank
much.
you.
That's Thursday noon and Thursday night
Right,
teaching.
I was like, it's Thursday.
Are we done? We off? I know. I said it, and then I was looking, and I was like, you know what?